Today I made a form, an interactive validation form, which is a create account form, assign a form. It has username, email, password, and confirm password, and it checks for validation. If we try to submit, it shows that you need to enter something, and it shows this exclamation mark if there is something wrong. So if we enter something, it gets registered as tick. That means it is valid. So next, for email, it if we enter something, no, it is not valid, it is invalid email. So we need to get a particular format for email. I will explain what is happening in the backend. So this is the format for email and it is done. And for password, it is not that we enter anything, and this too must match. And also it has some requirements like it should have special character, uppercase character, and some numbers. So it has those requirements. And even so, let's input something. So we have done it. So if we see, it is showing tick, but we need to enter the confirm password as well. So if we enter something else, it shows password does not match. So for that we need to match the password as above. So let's match it, and if we see, it is all done. Now all the fields are validated, and after submitting I am printing for form submitted. So yep. So I need to give a condition over here, because it is every time I click submit button, it is getting registered, I guess. So if we refresh and do it, yes, it is happening. So I need to give some validation, I mean some condition over here. So we will see that afterwards, but let's see what is happening in the code. So if we see in JavaScript code, it is selecting each and every field, and the last one is selecting the button. So if we click a button, this is an event listener. If we click the button, it will prevent the default behavior of a page, that is on clicking the page should refresh, but by writing this line we are preventing the refresh or the default behavior of a page. So next we are calling check input, a function called check input, which checks for the input that is it valid or not. So in this function we are checking each and every, we are getting the values of each and every field by trimming the white spaces from it and storing it in this variable. And then we are checking for a condition, like if the value is empty, we are calling this set error function. If it is if there are some values, it is calling the success message, I mean success function. So let's see what is there in the set error function. So if we see in the set error function, it takes two inputs, input and message. The input is the field, the input field, and a message which it should show. So in form control we are selecting form control. So input is the field, and so if I show the index HTML, so input is the field and we are selecting it, we are selecting the parent element. So if you see input dot parent element, which means inputs parent element, which is this div element, which is form control. So we are selecting that form control, and then we are selecting inside form control, we are selecting a small element. So if we see inside form control, we are selecting this small element which will show the validation message. So we are selecting that, and inside that inner text we are sending our error message in that small text. So we are doing that, we are storing that message in inner text, and we are the display is none, or the visibility is hidden. If I show you the small, yes, the form control small, the display is none. So we are changing it to inline so that it is visible, because it is none, and if it if the set error calls, the message is inline, that means it is visible now. And we are toggling we are adding a class called error. So when we use this class name, it replaces the current classes of that element and replaces with this whatever you are sending. So if we see form control class name, we already have this form control, so we are replacing this with form control plus error, which means we are adding an extra error class. So if we see in error class, here it is. So the error class, what it is doing, it is just giving this border, red border, and if we see when it is focused, the outline is 0. So ignore that, because I am doing outline 0 because I want this blue, I mean this color that focuses, I don't want that, so I did outline 0. So error does this, and it also does this. If form control dot error, it toggles this font, which is font awesome font, which is this exclamation mark, which is visible, visibility is visible, and color red. So if we remove this error class from that element, it is not visible. When it is there, the class is there, it is visible. So yes, we are doing this same for the error and the success message. The success message, we have that tick, if you see this tick. So we are toggling basically the error, we are toggling this error class and this success class, that's it. Rest are same in both the functions. The difference is that we are not sending a message because it is an success, we don't need any error message. So we are doing same for all. For email, we are checking for that empty variable, I mean empty value. So if it is an empty, we are sending that to set error. And we are checking one more thing, if it is a valid email or not. For that we have used a function called check email. So what it does, if we see here, it has a regex, which is an regular expression which checks for the valid email. If the value which we have sent is according to this regex expression, that means it sends true. So if it is true, then it comes here, and it becomes false, so it does not enter here. If it is not a valid email, it goes here and sends another error, which is invalid email. So if this both condition fails, it is an success. So similarly, we did password, we checked for password as well. We have made password regex as well. So this is the regex for password, which should include an upper character, lower character, it should include special characters and numbers as well. So this checks for a strong password, and it is same as email. And but if we see confirm password, it is same as password, but it also checks for if password is same as confirm password, then also it checks. If it is not, it sends password does not match. Rest is same. If we see, it sends for the password meet requirement, it also checks for that password validation, else it sends that success. So this was the code, and yep, this was the JavaScript code, which is good. And this was the JavaScript code, and if you see the HTML code, it is pretty basic. I'm using this CDN for font awesome, which is this font, the tick and the exclamation font. So which is we are using that, we are storing this header in this, and I have not used any third-party font. I have just used this font icon. So yeah, this is the default font. So every input form is separated and stored inside this form control, and it is pretty basic. So this is the CSS. In this project also, I have spent most of the time on CSS, on doing this border, this tick, to place this icon in the right position, and clicking the button, this button animation. Before that I was not using this button element. I was using input type submit. It was not giving that effect which I wanted, so I used the button because it gives the same output which I need. The issue which I faced while making this form was a very silly mistake I was doing, that whenever I was checking for check email, I was not giving this not or exclamation icon before that, and I was very confused that why is it not going inside this set error condition. So it is never going to this function. Then I realized I was checking the opposite thing. So whenever it was false, it was just passing and doing this success. So yes, that took time to debug it, and rest was done in no time. So yes, this was the project. Thank you for watching, and this was the pretty basic project, but I thought that I should skip this project because it is easy, and I guess I thought there is nothing to learn in this form, but I decided to make it because in future I will be referring this code and using it in all my projects, because it is a uh, very common thing that every project you will make will have a sign up form, and to make a proper validated form is a good idea, and to keep it stored somewhere so that you can refer proper password validation, proper email validation. So yes, I will refer this code in future. So that's one of the reason why I made this project and I'm sharing with you. Okay, so I have written the missing code of what should happen after the validation. So before it was like, here only I was printing form submitted, but it was executing all the time. Whenever we click this button, it was getting executed. So that is not the right way. So I fixed it, and now what I did in check input, I have introduced a variable called is valid and assigned it to true, and whenever our code is getting an error, it is getting into this condition of error, I am assigning it to false. And similarly in every condition I am doing this, assigning it to false. If it is going in the condition of error, it is assigning false. Okay, and in success we are doing nothing. So no changes has been done. If it is a success message, so its value is true. So after executing all the conditions, at last we are checking if is valid is true, then only we are printing form submitted, else we are not printing anything. So yes, this valid condition is helping us to know if all the form has been successfully validated, and we can write the code inside this if condition whatever we want to do after the validation of this form, like redirecting to next page of login page or directly to the home page. We can do it here. So yes, this was the implementation. So I have not pushed this code in GitHub, so let's do it as well. So these projects which I'm demonstrating in the videos, you can check out my GitHub. The links are provided in the description, you can get it from there. So let's add this changes, get commit, let's commit this, and what should be the message? Let's write adds functionality after validation. Okay, let it be, and let's push it. We are done. So we've pushed it. So you can find the changes in my GitHub link. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next project.